Welcome, my friends. The UK budget landed last week, and no matter where you stand politically, it does have financial consequences. So, if you're planning to move to Spain, already living here, or even just thinking about relocating, some of these changes could affect pensions, investments, income, tax planning, and the decisions you make before you move and after you move. And just so you know, in this show, we're not looking at this from a UK politics angle. We're asking a much more useful question. What does this mean financially once Spain is part of your life? And who better to answer that than our favourite independent financial advisor, Lucia, who's based in Spain and working with people who've made or are making the move here. You can type in your questions on the live chat or in the comments below if you're watching back afterwards, and you'll get the answers you need. I also have an exclusive special offer for YouTooSpain watchers. I'll tell you all about that later. We'll help you through so you can do the Spain thing too. You're all very welcome to YouTooSpain. Here comes the theme tune. Hold on to your hats. Ooh, whoosh. That was powerfully groovy. And speaking of groovy, let's welcome Lucia Melgarejo from Blacktower. Hola, Lucia.
Hola, buenas tardes. ¿Qué tal?
Buenas tardes. Lovely. Muy bien, I should say.
Very good.
We'll skip back into the English for now because I don't know how many of our audience can speak Spanish. It would be good to do a show once in Spanish, once I can do it. That would be lovely. And so, yes, pleasure to have you on the show again. It's our quarterly look into finances. I do look forward to these.
Yeah, the same. Thank you very much for inviting me once again, first time in the evening. So real exciting.
Yes, it is, isn't it? Yes. Is that better for you? Better than a weekend?
Yeah, it works better, I have to say, because usually sometimes weekends we go away or we have plans with family or friends coming over to enjoy the sun and the coast.
Yes.
So much better during that weekday, definitely.
Excellent. Good. And I hope that's the same for everybody on the live chat. So welcome to you all. Let's see who's there at the moment. We've just got a couple of names at the moment. House sitting retiree says hello and good morning, good afternoon and good evening, everyone from California. There we go.
Oh, wow.
Happy December. We were just saying, I wonder how many people from America were going to be watching the show. And that's answered the question for now. One of you, if there's any more from the US or anywhere else in the world, tell us where you're from and where you're listening from and watching from today. And Donald Mackenzie, hello Donald. Hi Scats and Lucia got the emails, we'll respond tomorrow. Oh, there you go, already a client
Perfect.
of yours.
Thank you.
Yes, and fantastic. So so if you've not put a little comment in there yet, send us a wave, send us a hello so we can spread the word and share the love and see your names. It's always nice to see your name in lights. So just a quick reminder then before we start, this is not a show for giving you personalized financial advice because everyone's situation is different. So if that's what you're looking for, then do get in touch with Lucia, who's a qualified professional, and she'll be happy to help. And her contact details are below in the I'm going to be pinning it to the top comment after the show's finished. I can't do it before the show for some reason, but it's also in the video description. There we go. So Lucia, let's start with an introduction to you and what you do at Blacktower for those who've not seen you before on YouTooSpain.
Perfect. Let's crack on then. So my name is Lucia Melgarejo, as you perfectly pronounce. I love your pronunciation and your tone. I'm Spanish. I studied university in Granada, which is a beautiful city inland, not far away from Malaga, where I live now. So I live in Marbella. I'm based here. I'm based on the coast, along the coast for over 20 years. I started off working for private banking with the BBVA in Malaga city center and in charge of the foreign department. So dealing mainly with expats since I started working in the financial industry. If we can share the first slides that I sent to you, Scats,
There we
here's
go.
where it's just to make it easier for some of the qualifications that I do have. So I am a regulated financial advisor, and I belong to the European Financial Advisory Association, which is the first logo that you can see in blue, and that qualifies myself or anybody that belongs to that association is able to provide financial advice with any financial product throughout the European Union. We have to do on an annual basis a certain number of hours of study. We need to demonstrate that we haven't had any issues in the past with any financial institution, and that the financial advice is sound. Also, I belong to Colegio de Economistas, which is similar, similar, I would say, to the chartered accountant in the UK. So I'm able as well to be given providing tax advice, uh, and also to file tax returns for clients. I used to do that as well by the time I was working in the bank. And as well, I'm a member of the CISI, which is the Chartered Institute for Securities and Investment in the UK. We all have a registration number that's a public information. You can always go Google the name or even the number that we have as a license, and
Hmm.
we are all there. So I will encourage everybody that is looking or seeking for financial advice to be double checking that everybody is compliant and is through the regulators, which is really important. I didn't share one of the latest that I got, and that was in June. I think I mentioned in the latest show, which is for CISEC, which is from
Hmm.
Cyprus Securities as well, and investment. So I got that license as well in June. So also allow myself to be qualified and regulated through other European Union, similar to the EFPA
Uh-huh.
qualification there. Then I wanted to mention that next year Blacktower is gonna be 40 years. So we are celebrating our 40th anniversary at the company. Started off very family and familiar way of and now is being developed 40 years later. We are present, or we have present in 20 locations. We have over 2 billion US dollar under management, under advice, and we are over 300 people working in Blacktower. So through
Hmm.
Blacktower, I'm able to provide financial advice, and through Colegio de Economistas, which is a chartered accountancy, I'm able to provide the tax advice for my clients. So I try to do a holistic approach to any client that is asking for financial advice and tax advice when they are coming or planning to come to live in Spain. Coming to the licenses that Blacktower has, we are licensed in the UK, throughout the European Union, in Gibraltar, in Cayman Islands, Switzerland, Australia, the UAE, and the US. That was the one of the latest ones that we got a couple of years ago. So we are fully licensed, as I said. And always that information is free of access, is online. You can Google anything and then just make sure that you are going through the right people at all the time.
Hmm. Excellent. All right then. So, just before we get onto the UK budget and the key measures that affect individuals, don't forget everyone. Oh, let's just take that down off the screen for a second. Don't forget everyone that there is a QR code up there in the corner, and if you learned something of value to you today, or if you're being entertained, then use the link to donate a cup of coffee or 3 or 5, whatever you think today's show is worth to you, and listen out for a special offer from one of our trusted network of experts in a few minutes. Okay then, let's get straight on then. The UK autumn budget then was last week. What do our watchers need to know, and how could it affect them?
Yeah, I have to say that from the UK. So that's a UK perspective, the UK autumn budget. Most of our clients, or most of my clients, wherever they are located, have some ties within the UK. So I like to share some of the highlights, of course, because it's important that for somebody that is planning or still have any ties in the UK, to know how things are going to be changing in the near future. Here on the one of the slides that I did is just to have some dates in front of us, and it's easy to access and easy to understand. So here, some of them would be effective from 2026, so the following tax year in the UK from the 6th of April. Some of them 2027, others in 28, 29, 31. So I put there a list of dates that are important to remember in case we are planning to do something. So mainly there we have a dividend tax increase, we have a relief, a cut relief for trust, we have increase in savings rates, we have new property taxes increasing as well, ISAs, some of the changes in regards to ISAs with pensions and inheritance tax. I have to say that came in place last autumn budget last year, so in 2024. But of course, it's good to remind us that that's still there, and we need to think about how to organize our pensions if we are wanting to move abroad outside of the UK or coming to live in Spain. Then we have another new mansion tax is being called or being named, a salary sacrifice cap as well, and threshold freezes ending potentially by April 2031. So if we just move to the next slide, please. Here I just made a summary on how things, what main changes that are going to be affecting people from the investment point of view, mainly individuals. Okay, because don't forget that while you are living in the UK, you need to arrange all your financial affairs to make them ready. So when you move here to Spain, you have make the most out of your tax reliefs or any reliefs that you may have in the UK, and then you can start off with the Spanish financial planning when here. So here, for example, on the first one of the first topics was investment income, that will have an increase by 2%. As I said on the previous slide, that will come into place next April 26. We have also an increase in property income that will happen in tax year 27-28, and that would be for a property basic rate 22%. Then for the property higher rate, tax will be 42%, and for an additional rate will be 47%. For Scotland and Wales, that is to be announced yet, so not yet. That to do with property income. Then from next tax year in the UK, that would be another increase by 2% to 10.75. Then again, for the upper rate will be another increase of 2%. That brings up to 35.75. And for the additional rate, another that remains unchanged to 39.35%. From the savings income point of view, in April following year, so 2027, there will be another increase. So mainly here we are talking about increases in those four categories by 2%. So on savings income, that would be an increase by 2% to 22%. Then on a higher rate, taxpayer would be 42%, and for the additional rate, it would be 47%. So generally speaking, 2% increase on savings income. Then we have here one main change in regards to the ISAs. ISAs is a vehicle that is used in the UK for as a tax advantage. So any investment that you have within an ISA that you take out, you pay no capital gains tax. So from April 27, that would be the amount of money that you can save tax-free in a cash ISA, because you have two types. You have cash ISAs and shares ISAs. So the amount that you would be allowed to save within a cash ISA would be reduced to 12,000. So limited for somebody that is under, or an investor that is under 65 years of age. For somebody that is over 65, then the limit would be 20,000 for cash ISA. So that means that for somebody that is younger than 60, at the age of 65, you are able to still use your 20,000 allowance, but then up to 12,000 would be going into a cash ISA, and then 8,000 would be going into a shares ISA. Okay, so it's not that they are reducing the limit, it's only that they are telling you that the maximum amount that you can invest in cash would be 12,000 if you are below the age of 65. For somebody that is over, so is already retired probably, or is at a later stage in life, they allow the full amount of 20,000.
Okay.
Then we have the annual subscription limits for lifetime ISAs to 4,000 and 9,000 a year for junior ISAs. So those limits are as though, and the allowances are frozen for now until April 2031. So that means that as of now, there's no prediction that they will be increasing that up until that date. So in a 6-year time, more or less. Then for the increase of the venture capital trust for the taxes, sorry, not the taxes, they have reduced the tax reliefs on those. So here they have reduced from 30% to 20% from April next year. So for somebody that wants to have a venture capital trust, just to bear in mind that the allowance would be, the tax relief is reduced to 20%. Okay.
Okay.
So some information that is, yes, it's a lot to take on. I try to just to simplify that to individuals, and of course to increases that we will be facing in the coming years for somebody that is living still in the UK. Important, and then of course I will tell you important things to look at specifically if you are intending to be living in Spain, that you need to be paying attention to that. So from the inheritance, that one of them is just coming from the inheritance tax point of view, and that is being brought up last year in the last budget 2024. For unused pension funds and death benefits, they will be subject to. That was something new that came into place on the last budget. So from as of April 2027, somebody that passes away and has money invested into a pension pot, that will be subject to inheritance tax. So it's financial planning here is really key and important, because we are used to be saving, or in our minds is just to save money within a pension in order to get our tax reliefs annually. But then, of course, if something happened to us, beneficiaries will be subject to the inheritance tax. The inheritance,
should I be on the next?
Yes,
should I be on the next slide by now?
Sorry.
Should we be on the next slide by now? Is that on there?
Oh, apologies. Yes.
Oh, there it is. Yes, sorry.
Yes, it's on the first line.
I forgot to ask. I thought we. Excellent.
It's on
there
the
it is,
first line. Yeah, it's the first one. So then the inheritance tax near rate band are already set at current level, so that hasn't changed until, for now, again, April 2030, and they will stay fixed there at those level, potentially until April 2031. So as remains the same in regards to the inheritance tax. Forthcoming combined allowances for the 100% rate of agricultural property relief and business property will also be fixed at $1 million from up until April 2031. Okay, so that would stay unchanged till April 2031. From a trust taxation point of view, we have here an increase in tax on property income and savings income arising to additional rate taxpayer, which is 47% from April 27. Will also apply to property rentals and savings income, which is the interest received by the trustees and of discretionary trusts. For trustees of interest in possession, trusts who receive property and no savings income, and which is not mandated directly from the interest in possession beneficiary, will pay from the 6th of April 2027 a tax of 22%. So that has changed as well. People that has, and that's very popular, to set up a trust in the UK. I have to say that here in Spain, trusts are not recognized. That's an investment that is tax efficient back in the UK, but not here, and therefore is fully taxable. But some changes you have over there in regards to taxation. From the pensions point of view, because we were waiting, I have to say that we were waiting some changes in the pensions world, but as of now, no changes from the ones that they did last year, which were more than enough. So we were expecting, just to let you know what the kind of feeling that we had before this autumn budget was that because there were some rumors that the tax-free lump sum in the UK was going to be stopped. As of now, it remains the same. But of course, we need to watch out the space on here, because from one day to another, or for following budget, potentially either it can be reduced or stopped. So we need to be very careful and have a good planning on our pensions, how we take it out from our existing pensions in the UK, in order to enjoy what we are able to enjoy at the moment. So as I said, no pensions, no changes to pensions on tax reliefs or the tax-free cash lump sum. But then some changes within the salary sacrifice rules for pension contributions. Of course, most of our audience are planning to stop working and then to relocate in Spain, most of them. But of course, for people that are intending to come on working remotely from Spain for a UK company, that is something that will affect them from April 29. So just to have a look into that with the employer, because there will be a cap. From property taxes, they introduced a mansion tax on high value property over 2 million. So for somebody that is investing into buying a property of worth over 2 million, then it would have an increase of price bands with surcharge rising from 2,500 for a property that is valued in between 2 million and 2 million and a half. Also, it would be a further increase on 7,500 for a property valued over 5 million. Okay, so and that is to be increased on an annual basis on CPI. So those are the main changes that affect individuals that are currently living in the UK. Something to take or to highlight here would be, as I said just a minute ago, in regards to the pensions, tax-free remain the same, but inheritance tax is now in place for somebody that dies after April 27. So to consider what to do, to analyze the cash flows that people have, analyze who are going to be my beneficiaries, what is my intention with my current pension plan in the UK when I'm coming to live here in Spain. So that is worth value to have a look at, and of course to have a good case study for making the most out of our taxation and not to be paying unnecessary taxes that of course they may came into place when we pass away back in the UK. So that's pretty much, well, this seems to be short, is long enough, even only for individuals, but those are the highlights. So mainly, as I said, from the 2% increases on taxes, so mainly dividend tax, savings tax, and also the cap on ISAs for cash ISAs, that we will be only allowed to invest up to 12,000 if we are younger than the age of 65. For people over 65, it remained the same, 20,000.
Excellent. Oh, let's just say hello to Stephen, Pauline. They're in the UK, in Doncaster. They're in Yorkshire. Lovely. And I told you, everyone, that we have a special offer for you. So let's just tell you about that very quickly before we move on to talking about tax liabilities for residents and non-residents. And this is from our Spanish lawyer friend Cherise, who's got an exclusive offer for YouTooSpain viewers. I think it's for the rest of this year. So let's play this very short video all about that. And that goes like this. There we go. So as it said on the video, the details are in the video description, and I'll put that in the top comment as well once the show's over, so you can get in touch there. And there we go. Okay, so let's move on to what our watchers need to know about Spanish tax liabilities for residents and non-residents, because there are some important deadlines coming up soon, aren't there?
Yes, we have an important one, which is for the non-resident tax. Somebody that is non-resident and bought a property, a holiday home, for example, we need to do our non-resident annual tax declaration, and the deadline is the 31st of December. So don't leave it last minute, please, because we are getting to very, very busy. I have to say that usually the deadlines for giving us the documentation and all the paperwork, I'm just looking at the diary, is Friday the 12th of December, simply because the volume that we experience from the end of November, beginning of December, it increases, and of course, in order to be submitting everything on time and do things right and appropriately, then that would be the 12th of December. Of course, I had in the past a couple of days before the end of the year, and of course, I will do the taxes. So it's not that we are saying no to that, but just to let you know that if we can, because we can be doing filing the taxes throughout the whole year. So it's not towards the end of the year. So from the 1st of January till the 31st of December, anytime we can be filing our non-resident tax. Of course, why would you pay taxes right at the beginning of the year when you have the whole year ahead to be paying that at a later stage, which I completely agree and understand. But of course, you can set up a direct debit. Even if you file them beginning of the year, you can set up a direct debit that will come straight from your bank account the last working day from the year from your bank account in Spain. So it's no need to rush right at the end. If I may, just very, very quickly, for just to explain for probably new watchers the differences between non-residents and residents, tax residents, of course, in Spain. Our calendar year runs from 1st of January till the end of December. For somebody that spends less than 6 months, generally speaking, 183 days, considering every period that you have been in Spain. So temporary absences are not taken into consideration. We add up all number of days that we have come into Spain and came out. So if those number of years are in excess of 183 days, you are tax resident. You are deemed tax resident. Nobody communicates you that you are, but you will need to know, you should know that you will be liable for taxes. Otherwise, you are non-resident, and those are the tax. As I mentioned, deadline, the end of the year. Few changes recently, that was in July this year. For non-EU citizens, they were not allowed to deduct the expenses on the properties. So for example, for community fees, any renovation, if you buy some furniture and you are renting out also your apartment for certain periods, you were not allowed to deduct those expenses. Now you are. Okay, so it's in a debate as well whether we are able to claim back the years that we haven't been able to deduct those, because of course, looking or doing a consultation to the Chartered Accountant Colegio de Economistas, we are able to submit any correction, of course, from previous years. However, it's in hand of the tax authorities to tell us whether they are going to be giving the money back or not, which I really doubt, my personal opinion. But of course,
Yeah, yeah.
from now on or from this year onwards, for any submission that we are doing this year, so after July when we had the news from the court submitting everything with all the expenses we can deduct over there. The IBI is a local tax that everybody that owns a property has to pay. That's usually during summer, and it will be set up as a direct debit from your bank account. So usually between June, September, that will be more or less, and it will say something along those lines of town hall, tax charge, something like that. So some people get confused whether the IBI is the non-residential tax or something completely different. And also the basura, so the trash tax.
Okay.
During summertime from your as a direct debit from your bank account. But filing the Modelo 210, which is the non-resident tax for somebody that has that owns a property in Spain, because it's classed as a secondary property. So then they put you a rent, and that's the amount that you will need to pay in taxes. So that will be only for non-residents. Moving on to the residents on the next slide.
Yep.
So the Spanish tax liabilities for somebody that is resident means that we have been here over 183 days. So we have few deadlines to be looking at, and I put them in order by deadlines throughout the year. So before the end of March next year, we should be submitting Modelo 720 and Modelo 721 for all asset documents that we need to complete if we have assets outside of Spain in any country that is worth over 50,000. For example, I have 3 bank accounts, one in Scotland, one in Australia, and one in the United States. And all combined, they add up over 50,000 euros value. The date that we need to look at the value is the end of the year value, but of course they look back 3 or 4 months as well. So because you can be changing or transferring money from one day to the other, so they look also so we need to include those. We need to tell them that we have a bank account in Scotland worth 10,000, for example, a bank account in Australia worth 20,000, and another bank account in the United States that is worth 21,000. Overall, it's over 50,000. We need to inform them. It's not a declaration. It's not tax to pay. It's just an informative document. Modelo 721 is for cryptocurrency. So somebody that has Bitcoins, Ethereum, any cryptocurrency, that also has to be disclosed on the Modelo 721 when you have over 50,000 euros. And again, deadline would be the end of March, right? From year to year. If that has varied, then we need to redo the declaration if we have a variation on assets. Also, that is for somebody that has a property overseas, or any investments or pensions. So anything falling under those 3 asset classes, bank accounts, property, investment, and pensions worth over 50,000 has to be disclosed for somebody that is resident, once again. Then we have the Modelo 100. So here we call Modelos at tax forms that we have to complete. Okay, so the Modelo 100 is our annual tax return, so normal annual tax tax return, and the deadline to submit that is the end of June. Usually either the 30th or even of July, but generally speaking, it would be the end of June. We can start doing that beginning of May, so we have a couple of months for submitting, and we are to be declaring what has happened in 2025. So for 2025, we file our annual tax returns in between May and June 2026. Okay, that includes capital gains tax, which is from 19% up to 28%, and also income tax, which is from 19% up to 47%. That's a general information, as you very kindly mentioned at the beginning, Scats, because of course every case is different, every region is different. We are in Spain. Spain has 27 different autonomous community. It depends whether you live in central Spain, in the north of Spain, in the south of Spain, in the Canary Islands, in the Balearics. That would be completely different. So I just mentioned there general rates, but of course, once I know that the person would be living in Canarias, then that would be something completely more accurate with the amounts and with the percentages.
Yeah.
Then we have Modelo 714, which is the famous wealth tax. Deadline as well, 30th of June. So the three that we need to do on an annual basis, which are our annual tax returns, wealth tax, and solidarity tax, deadline is the end of June. What's applicable for somebody that has assets? We have some allowances there, as for example, 300,000 allowance in main residency, 700,000 allowance in investments per person. So if it's a married couple, we have a property that is worth 500,000 and we have investments of 1 million altogether, then there will be no wealth tax to submit because we are below the allowances of wealth tax. Then for somebody that has assets over 3 million, then we have solidarity tax. Solidarity tax was a temporary tax that the government introduced a couple of years ago. So potentially, and I'm saying potentially because we don't know that yet, next year. But that's a potential case that we don't know. I'll let you know as soon as I find out about that. So over 3 million, we have allowances as we have for wealth tax. So for somebody that has 3 million and has already paid wealth tax, it doesn't mean that we are paying twice. So that gets deducted and taken off. And then we go on to the next bracket for that million excess that we are to pay for solidarity tax. Those are the average taxes, rate of taxes. For solidarity is 1.7 up to 3.5%, and for wealth tax in between 0.2 and 2.5. That's major general information for the taxes for somebody that is looking to come and live here. Of course, I do recommend to get tax advice prior to, if somebody's looking to relocate, prior to the relocation, so we have a kind of an idea of how much we are going to be paying at some point in the future. Of course, taxes are not static, so they do change. They don't introduce. Government may introduce new allowances, may increase the tax rates as we have seen within the last UK budget. That's always what happened and is in our job and professionalism, just to give you the update and the latest that we have. To plan ahead, I remember having a conversation with somebody that was looking to relocate in 10 years' time. Given a plan ahead of 10 years' time down the line, well, I can tell you roughly how that would look like. But of course, in 10 years' time, it's better just to get an estimate when you are closer to the time of relocating. But again, always to have a look at that. We are able to provide draft copies of how your Modelo 100, for example, will look like, because we do have access to that system, and we are able just to working on the figures that are the one currently now, we are taxes that you would be able on the following year. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Great, yeah. Well, and I remember you saying, I think on every show you've been on, it's never too late to plan ahead. That's a phrase that we've come up against, not just on the finances, but I think everything to do with coming to Spain. But yeah, particularly in terms of finances. So
Yeah,
I'm
for
going to put
anything,
that.
never too late. So it's always good to, as I said right at the beginning, to look for the professionals that are registered, that are qualified and regulated. And believe me, here is very, well, not here, everywhere
Yeah.
around the world, I would say they are very strict. Regulators are very strict, extremely strict paperwork with how we certify, we provide, with emails, with spams, with data protection. So it's few things that we need to consider. And of course, don't forget that we are sharing our financial situation. I wouldn't be talking about my personal finances to somebody that at least I know that they are qualified and registered somehow within the main regulators here in Spain. Um, it's always good to look for that. And again, it's a public information. You can always go and Google on the websites, and our names are there. As you were saying, and I said always, never too late and ahead. Things might change in the following years, or things may, or our personal situation may vary from what we have at the moment to how things are going to be coming into place in the future. We don't know, of course, we don't have a crystal ball, but the more we
No.
plan, the better. So we are prepared to assume and to take the best advantage or any advantage that we have at that moment in time. As I was mentioning before, for example, with the UK, that's up to 25%. We don't know how long that's going to last. For somebody that is
Mm.
planning to move abroad, and of course, the comparison in between taking that lump sum or not, when you come to live to Spain, here any amount coming from a pension is taxable at the rates that I mentioned before. So of course, if you are able to take something tax-free back home, why wouldn't you do that before you come to live in Spain? To have a plan set up, make the best advantages.
Hmm. Absolutely, yeah.
So yeah, it's always
Good.
welcoming from me personally as a financial advisor. I always I try to be as open as I can, knowing the more information I have, the best I can advise. It's never too much information or too many information. We the more I know, the better. Because here on that slide, I mentioned the Spanish will, because it's something that comes to my to an everyday conversation with clients. So why would you? Is something mandatory? No, you don't have to do a
Mm.
Spanish will. But of course, if you're coming to live here, you have assets here. You are gonna be having your life or the rest of your life enjoying here in Spain. Why not to have things arranged in the Spanish way? So whenever something happened to us, because in the end we are gonna be ending up in the same place,
Yeah.
all of us. So if that's arranged in each point of view, and of course that's written in Spanish and in English, the valid side of an Spanish will is the Spanish. Because we are in Spain, you go to the notary, which is a Spanish notary that gets sent to a central registration in Madrid, which is Spanish, but of course is from us to translate and to make sure that your wishes are aligned to the translation into Spanish and English. But and remember that you need to go to the notary will, never in a solicitor, so it's completely different from what you are probably used to back home. year, you must go to the notary for having that legalized. Okay.
Yeah.
And again, any questions or anything that is very specific for somebody, more than happy to try to help and to give advice. Looking forward to helping with the new life in Spain.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Does anyone on the live chat have any questions? By the way, there's not many people who've actually typed in anything on the live chat yet. So if you're still listening in, then say a little hello. Paul Cook did a little while back and said good evening. Bit late tuning in today. We'll have to catch up. Yes, you missed all the things about the UK budget advice, but yes, you can get in on catch up on the video and scroll backwards and forwards as much as you want. I'll try and put in some time codes as well. That's not going to happen this evening though. That'll probably be tomorrow morning. But there we go. So while we're waiting for any more questions, don't forget to hit the like button and of course subscribe if you haven't already. And anything else you have for us, Lucia, before we wrap up the show?
As a non-resident, sorry to be so picky with the but that's part of my job to make sure. I have had recently conversations that they never filed the non-residency tax because they didn't know. So now what we need to do is to file this year and the previous 4, because the tax authorities can go back up to 4 years. So we need to file 5 tax years in a row, and of course that increases the costs. And yeah, not everybody probably is prepared to be giving away X amount of money for the past 5 years because they didn't know.
No.
So
The funny thing was, I actually read a note on Facebook this morning, somebody posting, oh, does anybody know how to update my NIE? I haven't updated it for 20 years. And what they mean is their TIE. And they probably had the old white piece of paper or the green piece of paper, or the big A4
the green one,
piece
the A4
from 20 years ago. Yeah, and they've still just got that, and they haven't done anything for 20 years. So I mean, officially they're in theory they're okay because they've been here and hopefully they've been paying their taxes as well. But they just not.
So it's important
They've
also
just not got the card.
To be registered within the town hall. So whenever we come to live in a certain area, even though we are going to be renting out at the beginning and not buying a property, then to get registered onto the padrón and also go to the town hall and then ask. They usually have very useful information for people relocating here. The areas, of course, but they are big communities of everywhere else in Spain. So by going town hall, you may find very useful information as well.
Mm-hmm. Very, very good. Oh, Patrick O'Connell has just arrived, all just in time for the end of the show. But I'm sure you'll catch up later. He watches all of the videos and comments as well. That's very, very helpful. So if you do watch any of the videos, any of the live ones or the ones that come out on Friday, then do put a comment on there, because it helps the videos go up to the top of the rankings, and then more people can get to see them and be helped by them. So thanks very much, Patrick, for always doing that. One of our most avid watchers. And yes, so brilliant. Well, I think that's about all we've got time for today. We've managed to keep the show within the hour, and that's been wonderful. And make sure you hover over the QR code and buy me a coffee or 3 if you haven't already. And in a few moments, I'll be telling you who my expert guest will be next week. But for now, let's give Lucia a big virtual kiss and a hug and say goodbye for now. And Feliz Navidad, if we don't see you before then. And
Feliz Navidad, yeah, that's true.
Brilliant. And we'll see you in about 3 months. It's usually every 3 months. And we'll announce the date as we get closer to it. Okay then. So goodbye for now. Thank you so much for being with us today. Bye bye. Okay, well, wasn't that groovy? Of course it was. So who do we have on the next show? Well, I think I told you last week, because I'm pleased to say that the final two shows of 2025 are both with our best mate Chris from Up Sticks, and he has got a special Christmas prize offer for you all. Next week is the 8th of December, and we'll be looking back at everything that's been happening here in Spain to do with immigration in 2025. And we've actually already recorded that one, because December the 8th is a holiday here in Spain. So we're both going to be busy actually on that evening. But you can still join in with the live chat on next week's show, just not live with us. You can chat with each other. And if you have any comments, then do put them in the comments below on that one. The following week is December the 15th. It's the Christmas show, and that's the final one of the year from us. Then we have a couple of weeks off, and then Chris is back again in January. Make sure you join us for both of those. And in the meantime, keep your eyes on the Facebook group and the Facebook page from YouTooSpain for any more details. And I'll see you this coming Friday. And the video, which is always at 6 o'clock Spanish time in the evening, or of course next Monday live, but not quite live, at 6 o'clock in the evening. Everything is 6 o'clock in the evening Spanish time. So somebody pass around the financial cookies. Peas and fluff, my friends, and I'll leave you all with a message from all of the voices in my head here at YouTooSpain. Bye bye for now. Wave goodbye, lads.
Bye. Goodbye. Toodaloo.
Peace and love.
Peas and fluff. Oi, oi. Don't do anything I wouldn't do.
One more cosmic dance?
All right, then. Look, Mum, I'm dancing.
Oh, I'm all a quiver.
Let's dance.